The American Heart Association estimates that 100,000 to 200,000 lives could be saved each year if someone were on the scene to do CPR at the proper time. I am CPR certified through the Scouts BSA and have been for the past 6 years, with it being renewed each year. And CPR is important to all of us because we all know someone who's at risk for drowning, at risk for a heart attack or a stroke, and the list goes on and on. In the next few moments, I will talk about what you should do before doing CPR on an adult, and doing CPR on an infant. So before you actually do CPR, you'll want to check the scene because you don't want to create two victims. Say that there's a down power line and somebody hits it, and so that's victim number one because they didn't see it. And your instinct is that you want to run over there and help them immediately. But you don't see the down power line, and now you get hit by it, and there's two victims, which just makes the incident even worse. So after you check the scene and say that it's safe, you will check the alertness of the individual. You will say, hey you! And if that doesn't get them to wake up or to become responsive, then you will tap their shoulder forcefully. And if that still doesn't get a response out of them, then you will move to the ABC method, which is alertness, or airways, breathing, and circulation. First, you will check their airways, in which you will place one hand on the top of their head and one hand on the chin, and lift it up and open up their jaw. And you will look down their throat to see if anything is blocking their airway. If nothing's blocking their airway, you will check their breathing. You'll put your ear over their mouth and try to listen to breathing, or you will also look down the chest and see if the chest is rising and falling. So if they aren't breathing either, the next thing you check is their pulse, their circulation. And you'll do that by checking their pulse on their neck or their wrist. So after you're deemed that the area is safe and they aren't alert and you went through the whole ABC method, it is now time to begin CPR. Now, CPR on an adult is different than on an infant. And so the first thing you will do is you will kneel beside the victim and place one hand over the other and curl your fingers. And the palm of your left hand will be on their sternum, right in between the nipples. And you will do 30 chest compressions at 120 beats per minute, or at the same pace as the Bee Gees' Staying Alive, or more ironically, Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. And you will rock from your hips and keep your arms locked. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the way up to 30. After you're done with the 30 chest compressions, you will pinch their nose and go mouth to mouth and give them 2 rescue breaths. It's a common misconception that what we breathe out is pure carbon dioxide, when in reality we actually breathe out a lot of oxygen, and this will force oxygen into their lungs and oxygenate the blood. CPR on an infant is quite different than CPR on an adult. CPR on an infant, you will start out with the same steps. So you want to check the scene, and you want to check their responsiveness and go through the ABC method. And if none of that is working and they are not responsive, you'll place them in your dominant hand, face side down, and you'll give them 5 back blows. And what this will do is if anything is lodged in their throat, it'll kick that object out so then they can start breathing. If that doesn't work, you will flip the baby over, and using your middle and your index finger, you will give them 30 chest compressions on the sternum, right in between the nipples again, at the same rate of 120 beats per minute. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after that, you will do 2 rescue breaths in which your mouth will cover both their nose and their mouth. And that's how to do CPR on an infant. So today we went over the steps for CPR beforehand, then CPR on an adult, and finally CPR on an infant. Hopefully you never need to use any of this information, but that's unlikely. To restate, the American Heart Association states that between 100,000 and 200,000 individuals' lives could be saved each year if someone were to do CPR at the proper time. We don't live in a perfect world, so it's possible that someone could drown while they're around you. Someone could go into a heart attack or a stroke, and I hope that these steps will guide you to help save their life. Thank you.